Justice Jackson?
Yes. So, Mr. Clement, I've heard you say several times in various ways that you think the regulatory scheme is about ensuring a minimum amount and not the weekly guarantee, sort of hand-waving the idea of weekly guarantee. And I want to posit something quickly and then ask you about a hypo. I want to posit that 602 in the salary basis is actually parallel to 604 in that they're both ensuring the minimum weekly amount. Under 602, you get it in the form of a salary, predetermined, coming to you no matter how much you work. Under 604, if your setup is not that, if you're not set up predetermined amount coming in weekly, the regulation guarantees that you still have this minimum weekly amount through 604. All right, that's how I see it. And let me tell you why I think it matters. Because the regularity of a predetermined amount is how people pay mortgages. So I don't know, or it doesn't really matter that he might get $100,000 over the course of the year. What he has to know is how much is coming in at a regular clip so that he can get a babysitter, so that he can hire a nanny, so that he can pay his mortgage. It's about, I think, the predictability and the regularity of payment. So let me ask you this hypothetical. We have a nurse who does the covered functions and makes $455 for a 12-hour shift. That's about $38 an hour. Some weeks, this nurse is called in for one shift and makes the $455. Some weeks, he's called in for 4 shifts and makes $1,820. He doesn't know, because of the way his situation is set up, he doesn't know from week to week how much he's going to make. It just depends on how many shifts his supervisor asks him to work. And all that's guaranteed is at least one shift, right, for the predetermined amount of $455. So some weeks he makes that, some weeks he makes more. But if he doesn't work any shift, he doesn't get anything. I think that under your theory, as you've articulated it, he would be a salary basis worker and would not be entitled to overtime for the weeks that he does the 4 or 5 shifts. Am I right about that in terms of how you have set this up?
So I think you're basically right, but can I just add a couple of thoughts to that? One is, the statute doesn't talk about whether you're a salary basis worker, at least not 601.
I know, I'm talking about the regulation. We're setting aside for the moment the statute.
If I said the statute, yes. I misspoke. The regs don't care that you're a salary basis worker. They care, 601 in particular cares that your total compensation includes $455 per week paid on a salary basis. So I actually agree with you that the thrust of 604 is to ensure that there is a certain regularity of the minimum amount that you are guaranteed to make every week.
Wait, I'm sorry, how could you say that 601 doesn't care if you're a salary worker? What is the meaning of paid on a salary basis? If it didn't care, it would just say your total amount of compensation must include at least $455 a week. But it then includes the words paid on a salary basis, and 602 tells us that being paid on a salary basis means a predetermined regular amount.
I think the only disconnect is when you, I don't think it cares whether you're a salaried worker, because when I hear salaried worker, I think, well, that must mean that's where you get most of your pay. All it cares about is whether you are paid at least $455 a week paid on a salary basis. And those are different things, because
I'm sorry, so if I'm a light bulb, so you're saying the minimum amount has to be the regular thing coming in?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
But how does that solve for my problem in terms of understanding that the agency and to some extent Congress could care about the variability that keeps people from being able to do other things in their lives, pay a mortgage or whatever. Like, it matters whether you are in a situation in which you're only paid for the amount that you actually work versus you know that you have a predetermined weekly amount coming in.
I think what matters for paying your mortgage and most other things is what's the minimum you're going to have guaranteed coming in. It's not whether you make if you got an $800 mortgage
on the
payment.
size of your mortgage, right?
Yeah, right. But here's the thing. I mean, I do think Congress cares and the regs care about the minimum. So you can make your $800 mortgage payment with your $963 guarantee. But it's very clear that 601 for the highly compensated workers doesn't care about the variability of your total annual compensation. And one of the reasons is the catch-up payment. It says you can have a catch-up payment. It can be a huge catch-up payment at the end of the year. And it creates sort of a safe harbor. So somebody that they thought was going to make $100,000, but they had a bad year, they're only making $50,000. They can have a big payment at the end of the year. That's not consistent with a concern about stability on the top line. It is still consistent that you get at least $455 every week paid on a salary basis.
Thank you,